Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Music Maniacs, premiering on a Friday evening. Me, Dr. Earl W. Brown, is here with Prince Idol. And tonight we're going to be discussing something that me and YR talked about on one of our early episodes of Metal Maniacs back in 2020. Controversial album covers. Now, the album cover is supposed to help sell the album without any question. It has worked many times in the past. It did
Right.
wonders for the fourth and fifth Led Zeppelin albums. It helped with the Beatles' White Album. A lot of people are talking about that. Why is it so white? What's up with that? It's just nothing. A lot of people were talking about the album cover for Yesterday and Today by the Beatles, the Butcher Baby album cover, which no longer is existence. If you go to a independent record store and you find it, most likely it'll probably cost an arm and a leg because that album cover alone is way beyond rare.
Right.
Now,
Right.
right there. Now, there are album covers that have caused a lot of controversy, a lot of shockwaves throughout the communities, whether it's in the rock community, the mainstream community, and of course, believe it or not, some of those albums had to be fitted with an alternative cover.
Hey, Paul three. Good, good, good. You're here. We're talking about album covers. I'm glad you tuned in.
Yeah, you are, man. We
Yep.
missed you, dude.
I walked in. Why on?
Why I had to bow
Would you
out
mind joining
because
us? We're taping this. We're taping it. You mind joining us,
yeah, we're
Paul?
taping this. We're appearing it tomorrow night at night, being Friday, and we're talking about controversial album covers.
Oh,
And don't worry, we're not going to get in trouble with the higher ups. Many other YouTube channels had discussed this topic before, so there's no need to worry, dude.
Earl, Earl, not to cut you off. You and Wire have to stop with that. You know how ridiculous you sound, the high ups. Who the hell is the high ups? Who are you talking about?
Well, the higher ups are the YouTube executives, the people watching the show, threatening to strike this channel, that channel. You got to remember, we're dealing with a lot of YouTube is
You
owned
just
by a
made
lot of people there.
I just know that. Paul three. Remember you said I was in Illuminati, and then now Earl says the high ups. You made Paul three's night.
Higher
You
up,
made him smile.
higher ups, I was meant to say there. But I kind of got that from Carlos Cabral on one of the shows that I was involved in, me and YR, and you and I as well. Yeah,
You're just making Paul three work out even better, man.
right.
The high ups. They're funny.
Yeah, I meant to say higher ups, but you know what I'm going with that when I use that word a lot. Now, going back to the discussion, many album covers had to be censored because of the controversy that they caused. Like, for
Yo, LeBron, are
example,
you live?
what up? No, we're recording right now.
Paul three, how you doing,
Yeah.
brother? Are you wearing a sweat shirt?
He's working out while he's interviewing
God,
us.
I see it there, yes.
makes you sweat more.
Mm.
It's like a
I'm actually happy
Black
he's here
Sabbath
because I
sweat.
got a lot of good questions for him. So I'm glad you're here, Paul.
Hmm. All right, there. Let's start with this one album cover that came out in 1969. It was their only album, Blind Faith, featuring a young girl bare-breasted holding a silver model plane. That had to have been censored
Yeah, I remember
in the
seeing that.
past. Yep.
I saw that at a pawn shop once when I
Mhm.
was living in Atlanta. I saw that. And I came across a lot of Elvis Presley albums that I saw what you just mentioned. I was telling you that
Yes.
before.
Yes. So now there was nothing explicit, nothing heinous going on, but it was just for some people it's kind of like a little bit tabooish when you think about it there. Let's also not forget the fifth Led Zeppelin album, Houses of the Holy, which was shot at a place called Giant's Causeway in Ireland. The two models, the two kids that are on that cover, butt ass naked, were actually a brother and sister. And that album caused a lot of fury from the Bible Belt just as well.
like the Blind Faith album.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Yeah.
weird.
What's
Very
up?
weird. Can you hear me?
Yeah, your voice is a little bit muffled, dude.
Yeah, it's a little low, brother. Do you have like a microphone or?
Not today. But now it's like maybe closer. Pretty better now.
It's hard to hear you, dude. Maybe I
You want
It's
got
to?
you.
because
Yeah,
You
can you
want
hear me
to?
better now?
What's
Yeah,
up?
it's good.
Good, good,
I may have to
nice.
just move this earbud to my mouth whenever I talk.
I see you, man. I see.
But yeah, I actually own the Blind Faith album, and it's always struck me as being very, very creepy. And what's even creepier is when they re-released it on CD, they actually still used that freaking cover. They just put it like they put the CD inside another cover, and then when you took it out the front cover, it
Hmm.
had the picture of the naked girl on it. Like I don't know
Yes.
why they would re-release it with that too. It's very, very weird.
Yeah, but then again, they did the same thing with Beggar's Banquet from the Rolling Stones. The Toilet album cover that originally was supposed to come out, that had to be changed to the all-white cover with the cursive writing with the artist and the album's name on the front cover there. It's not to
yeah,
years back when they decided to go with the original Toilet cover with all the graffiti on the wall. Let's also not forget Street Survivors by Leonard Skinner. The cover of that originally had the band members walking through a town in flames, but they had to change that because one of the members, Steve Gaines, a guitar player, it looked like he was engulfed in flames. And this came out after the plane crash in '77. So they decided to use the members of the band in a different position with an all black background as a result. And I guess they
Can I just
decided,
give a
record
shout
label,
out to Steve Gaines? Steve Gaines was a late addition to Leonard Skinner, actually,
hmm
and that album, Street Survivors, is a great album. And if you, my suggestion to
Yes.
listen to that, if you want to hear the Steve Gaines influence, is "You Got That Right," which is a
I
song
remember that
on
song,
Street
yes.
Survivors.
Yep.
He co-lead sings it with
Johnny
Ronnie
Van
Van
Sant.
Zant. Sorry, a little bit
Ronnie Van
rambling
Sant,
that
my
much.
bad. Yes, I remember hearing that on classic rock many times
Brown,
in the past.
There's no way we can be live since we have Paul 3 here with us, or no?
No, we'll premiere it not right now because it's a little bit too late. We
Okay.
already started. But
Well,
either way, people get Paul 3 no matter what tomorrow
it's
night, without a clock,
Paul
without
3,
a
Paul
doubt.
3, do you have any, Paul, or any of y'all, do y'all have any interest in seeing a Leonard Skinner live?
No,
yeah.
because
Hell
it's
no, not now.
maybe back then when he had some of the original
Spirit, though.
members.
People like Paul 3 and others, I get it. They want to see original, but it's the spirit of the music is what's going to be the new thing. Because a lot of these people are going to die. Ozzy, everything in another 20 years. No one's going to be here. Like Metallica, everyone's going to be not touring or dead. So we're going to have to get these tributes. We're going to have to get these, Paul 3, when you like to, I mean, even that thing I sent you, Brown, the Sons of Cream. The
Yes, I
son,
saw that.
Ginger Baker,
Yes.
the Ginger Baker and the bass player son are doing a thing called Sons of Cream.
hmm
Derek Bruce. Paul 3, what do you think about sons and daughters doing the legacy concerts, the music?
I like it. I don't love it. I don't think it's the greatest thing he could ever do, but those guys do it well. Kofi Baker is pretty awesome. So no, I mean it's a pretty good thing. I mean, too bad you couldn't have all three with Eric Clapton's son, but
Mm.
unfortunately, we know what happened
Yes.
with that.
Yeah, no, that's true there. But it'll be interesting to see who they have taken Clapton's place or trying to fill in that position that Clapton did in the original
I think it
Cream.
might be Godfrey Townsend,
Mm.
who is on like the '60s rock circuit. He also toured with the Alan Parsons Project. I think he might be jamming with them. I'm not sure.
Ah, I see there. Okay.
There's always been a big thing. Let me just throw in with the Beatles sons. There's always been like kind of a big thing. They want Zach Starkey, Ringo's son, who plays drums for the Who,
hmm
Sean or Julian Lennon, James McCartney, McCartney's son, who is not that talented. I hate to say it, he's actually kind of a hack.
Mm.
and Danny Harrison, who is George Harrison's son, who looks just like
Now,
that's been
Paul
a big thing.
30, Paul 30 and Brown or anyone, did y'all see the Paul McCartney couple songs he did for Saturday Night Live last week? Or
No,
Saturday
I
Night?
did not. Unfortunately, I didn't.
So I didn't actually see it, but what I heard a lot and what's been going on, because I'm a big Beatles fan, I'm a big McCartney fan. I've seen him twice, and actually when my mom was pregnant with me, her and my dad saw him when she was 9 months pregnant with me. So technically, I've seen McCartney 3 times, but there's been a lot of talk in the community that his voice has shit the bed and he can't sing anymore. The guy's 82 years old, and
Yes.
I mean, yeah, it's
Mhm.
been actually that way for a while. He can't sing anymore.
Can't hate on that either. The age.
Yeah, it's true there.
Look, I listened. It was some. He did some deeper, like some deeper Beatles stuff I never heard of.
Mhm.
But obviously, there's like a million Beatles songs. But like, you know what I'm saying? I don't.
And many Paul McCartney songs as well, including with his post-Beatles group Wings.
You know what I'm saying? For the SNL performance, Brown, it was like these deeper tracks, these deeper Beatles songs,
Mhm.
and it was a good moment. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Which is
you know
good.
kind of
Love
pitchy, but
those
it's
tracks,
like
bro.
you know.
You have to do is you have to listen to the album Abbey Road, and at the end of Abbey Road, there's a
Her
song medley
Majesty.
where all the songs mash into each other. It's
Yep.
like this epic, like, and that's what McCartney was doing.
Yeah, that's good to hear because Abbey Road altogether is probably one of the best records they ever did next to the White Album. And of course, Sgt. Pepper, which I consider the ultimate summertime album. Right there.
The Beatles,
Also,
the
go ahead.
Beatles, the one album's the best one
Yes, it.
compilation.
Oh yeah. What about? Oh, by the way, are you? We were talking about the one Beatles album cover that had to be covered up because that was causing a lot of controversy. Yesterday and Today, the U.S. version of that album that had a picture, it had a photo of the Beatles dressed as Butcher with layers of meat all around them and parts of baby dolls. That made a lot of people uncomfortable. So as a result, Capitol Records, their US label at the time, decided to use an alternative cover featuring, I guess it was regular clothing, Paul McCartney sitting inside of a huge case, a briefcase or something like that, or whatever it's called. And there was a controversy over that because when you turn the album sideways, it almost looks like Paul McCartney is inside of a coffin.
What?
Yeah, let me get you the
Speaking of Paul McCartney, he was doing like these three or four little small club shows in New York City
mhm.
that people had to like. It was rumored, and people were like standing outside to buy tickets, and people are like taking a chance to stand outside, and because they have a rumor he's gonna, and like. So he was doing previous concerts before the Saturday Night Live thing, which honestly I still would pay
Mhm.
hundreds to go see Paul McCartney in a small club setting. Absolutely, that
Who
would be
would love
worth.
to see Paul McCartney and meet him all together?
And he actually played at the Bowery in New York City. And what's really notable about that performance is there's a song that's went viral. A lot of these younger generations, like the Gen Z type of people, they'll pick up these songs from like legacy artists that weren't popular, say with the boomers or even the millennial crowd. So what Gen Z has done is they picked up a song from Paul McCartney from McCartney 2 that came out in 1980, which
Mhm.
was McCartney's second solo album technically, because the second one was Ram, but that was
Yep.
with Paul Anthony and McCartney. So
Mhm.
anyway, there's a song called Temporary Secretary that has become popular with the TikTok generation.
Mm.
And he played that at the Bowery. And I guess everybody lost their fucking mind. He played
Mm.
Temporary Secretary. If you've ever heard it, it's a very, very strange song. But Gen Z picked up on it. Now it's almost like a new hit for McCartney.
All right, there. I just put the two versions of the Beatles album covers in the Skype chat. Feel free to check them out, YR.
Thank you, man.
All right, there. And Prince Ida was talking about Guns N' Roses, their album Appetite for Destruction. I remember you saw that album cover, Prince.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that featured a painting by Robert Williams, Robt. That's how he spells his name. Now this
Gotta say,
guy,
I love that album though. That was a great album. It's one of my favorites. I got it back when I was like in high school. Never forget. I got it for Christmas. The whole vinyl. My mom got it for me. God rest her soul. She got that for me, and I still play it from time to time. I love that whole record.
yeah,
Appetite for Destruction.
yeah, that's good to hear. Now the cover caused a lot of issues with a lot of people out there, mainly the female audience. So they had to change it to the album cover that we know by heart. The cross with the skull, members of the group, skull face members. And actually, what they did recently is that Geffen Records reissued that album as a three-side double album, three sides. And I guess the gatefold will probably most
Blue,
likely the
got cut
gatefold
off.
probably go ahead.
Blue,
Hello, we hear you. What's going on?
you're breaking up. You're breaking up.
I'm breaking up.
Hey, Dr. Earl Brown, you're
Yes.
Thunder Brown. Are you through a hurricane, brother?
No, I'm in the studio. I'm here. I don't know what's happening. Let me turn down my mic a little bit here. But actually, what it is, I was going back to
You're,
what I was
you're
saying. Can you hear
you're
me?
breaking up, and you kind of going in and out.
I don't know why it's doing that. And wouldn't you know? And now my camera's fucking up. I don't know why it's doing that, man.
That's the high ups. They're not happy.
The higher ups, I should say.
Yeah, they're not happy. Paul, they're not happy. Woo!
Hello? Can you hear me now, guys?
Choppy.
All
Dr.
right.
Earl Brown?
Yes, can you hear me?
Like
Can you,
Earl.
can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good
Hello?
now.
Okay, there we go.
Paul 3?
I don't know what the hell happened with that, man.
You
I
sounded like
just told you. I just told you. And no, I'm not a part of them. It's the high ups. They're not happy.
The higher ups, I meant to say. That's what we really often call them.
Dr. Brown, are you recording this right
I'm
now?
part of the high
Yes,
up because I'm
recording it. Yes.
We all know Paul is part of the high ups.
Paul's part of that Illuminati, like Prince.
Yeah, but why did he ask me if I
Mhm.
was a part of it? Though? You're in the rock band, so of course you're a part of it. But the fact that you target me, bro, that was funny shit.
sold my soul.
That man, he's in there. He's in there. He's black. He's a Birdman.
All right, there. So, there's another album cover that really caused us, actually, two album covers that caused a lot of problems for this group. Cannibal Corpse, two records they put out, Tomb of the Mutilated, and Butchered at Birth, very gory album covers. I'm sure anybody has seen those two album covers and know what I'm talking about. I know Tomb of
So
the
yeah,
Mutilated
Gratitude
had to
and
be
Proof
censored.
got songs by them.
Mhm.
Like one of their songs is called Hammer Smashed Face.
Yeah, that's one of the more recognizable songs. And Tomb
Right.
of the Mutilated, when I saw that at a record store one time, the uncensored version, I was like, what the fuck? Dang. But the one Butchered at Birth, that creeped me out in a big way. It's like, geez, because there are people out there, there are psychopaths out there who actually do that kind of shit.
That's true. I mean, music can have an influence, negative or positive, and you never know what thought you could put in some crazy motherfucker's head by putting that out.
Yeah, but it's not really just the music, it's the person's mental status as well. You got to remember, some people are just bored, twisted, and sick, and they just do sickening things. I mean, like some guy can listen to, say, Herman's Hermits, but yet have a thing for killing women left and right.
I woke up this morning feeling fine. There was something special on my mind.
Mhm.
Last night I killed a new girl in the neighborhood. Oh yeah. Something tells me I'm into something gory.
Shit. Jeez. All right, there. And of course, we cannot forget this big one here. I remember I showed this to YR one time during our What About discussions. He saw that. He was like, what the fuck? Virgin Killer by the Scorpions, the original cover of that album. Yeah, Paul 3 knows what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
With the
exactly.
chick there with the broken glass. Yeah, that's very, very disturbing album cover.
Very disturbing. In fact, let me look it up. There's a lot of information about that album cover there. In fact, the
I
cover
think
was
that was
actually a
the only
12-year-old.
John Rock era.
Yeah, yeah. Let me look up the artwork on that album cover. That album had to be sold at most record stores in a plastic bag or a paper bag at times. These Now, it depicted a nude 10-year-old girl with a shattered glass effect covering her genitalia. It was designed by a man named Stefan Bohle, Bohle, who was the product manager for the West German branch of RCA Records, the Scorpions record label at that time. In the 2007 interview, the Scorpions bass player remembers that the girl depicted on the cover was either the daughter of or the niece of the cover designer. The photograph was taken by Michael von Gimbot, if that's pronounced. The band's rhythm guitarist Rudolf Schenker offers the following description and circumstances behind the cover. He said, quote unquote, "We didn't actually have the idea. It was the record label's idea. The record label was like, even if we have to go to jail, there's no question we'll release it." Now, the song Virgin Killer is not about losing your virginity or having to take it away. It was referring to time as the killer of innocence. But then again, when we had to do interviews about it, we were like, look, listen to the lyrics and you know what we're talking about. The album cover was done to get attention. That's what we do. Even the girl who they met 15 years later stated that there was no problem with the cover. Now, the girl's mother was also involved in the photo shoot. She was observing, being the protective of her daughter, of course. There was nothing sexual that went on. Now, Schenker concludes by saying growing up in Europe, sexually, of course, was not with children, was very normal. The lyrics said it all. Time is the killer of virginity. Time is the killer of innocence. A kid comes into this world very naive. They lose that naiveness and they go on into this life losing all of this, getting into trouble. That was the basic idea over it. Now, in the separate interview, Schenker also notes that he thought the cover was a great, I disagree with that, guys, and that he had pushed the band to really stay behind it, as he felt that people would think different when they looked at the lyrics and realized the cover art was being used as a symbol of the lyrics. He also concluded that they would never do something like this ever again. Now, only John Roth, who was the lead guitarist, expressed regret over that original cover. He said, "Looking at that picture today makes me cringe. It was done in the possible worst taste. Back then, I was too immature to see that. Shame on me for that. I should have done everything I can to stop it. The record company came up with the idea. The lyrics were accidentally were a takeoff on Kiss, who the Scorpions had just opened for around that time. I was fooling around, played the riff of the song in the rehearsal room, and boom, spontaneously came out because he's a virgin killer. Try not to be more or less kind of like what Paul Stanley was doing with some of his song lyrics." Klaus Media, the frontman, like hey, that's great. Let's do something with it. But only John Roth, he disagreed with the album cover altogether. And here's something else. The album could only be sold sealed in black plastic in several countries, and the cover was replaced with the alternative cover that we know by heart. The members of the band, in one of the photo shoots outtakes, that was the album cover that was mostly known here in the States. The original is named in various worst album cover lists. Cracked magazine rated #1 on their worst album cover of all time, and a publication called Gigwise listed as #1 in its 50 most controversial album covers of all time. It was named by UGO Networks as one of the weirdest album covers, and was #6 in the all-time worst album covers by what's the publication? 215 magazine. Now, he also had other album covers that got censored just as well. Taken by Force, the original for that came out afterwards, that depicted two young children playing in a cemetery, playing shoot 'em up. Many people were upset over that, so they had to change the artwork for that. Love at First Sting, which apparently featured a young boy making out with a grown woman while tattooing her thigh, that had to be changed. And of course, we cannot forget Love Drive from 1979. That was done by the album cover design company Hypnosis, which featured a man and woman dressed in the 1940s style in the back of a 1940s car, and the man is apparently removing bubble gum from the woman's exposed right breast. Kind of weird, but nonetheless, that had to be censored just as well. I, anyway, here's something else. I got to go ahead there. Here's something else. In August of 2015, a court in Sweden said that the album cover was considered to be child pornography. Even
You're
Wikipedia got
breaking
in
up. You're
trouble
breaking
for
up. You're
that.
breaking up.
Yo, Dr.
Again,
Brown, you're going in and out, man. Are you going through like a hurricane or
no,
something?
I don't know what's going on here. I may have to replace these earbuds that I'm
No.
using.
12% black. You know
Replace?
what that
No,
means?
it's like
It's
a
high up.
connection problem. It's not your device. It's a connection problem. It's good now though. Paul 3, you mentioned it like about maybe 6 or 7 months ago. I remember the CD. I know the album's been out, but I believe it's the Rolling Stones. Was it called Sticky Fingers or something, or
Yep,
was that the song?
absolutely. That
Yeah,
caused controversy.
the Zipper. Paul 3. You got the Zipper album. Is that true? Still?
Yeah, the actual album cover, the vinyl cover,
Hmm
has a real zipper, which is pretty cool. I own that one, which is a rare album.
Yeah, it had a real zipper on there, and that was designed by the late great Andy Warhol. It featured a close-up shot of Jagger's crotch area with the actual zipper, and then the inside sleeve it had him had his underwear, white
I think
underwear, old-fashioned underwear.
there was a model though. I don't think it was Jagger.
Hmm.
And then what Black Crows came out with, I think it was a Morica.
Yep, that was taken from the album. That was taken from a Hustler magazine cover.
Paul 3 shits all over Black Crows, bro. But that's like a Paul 3 band is the Black Crows, bro. That's a lifestyle.
I don't like the Black Crowes. I do not like the Black Crowes. I can't get into their music. I think they're tryhards and kind of embarrassing.
Bro, they're more. People say Oasis was like the Beatles of the '90s. Like, bro, fucking Black Crows were Led Zeppelin and the Beatles of the '90s, bro. Like way better songs than Oasis now.
That is a joke, bro. No
Most
way.
likely, yeah.
Oasis is way better. Oasis is much better.
I think we found our next topic for our next Music Maniacs show, folks. Who's better, Oasis or the Black Crows? Well, Prince, you mentioned this album cover from Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil,
Yes, sir.
which was an all black background with the album's title Up Below and the band's name Up Above, and the upside down pentagram,
Yep.
which I guess in many people's eyes represents satanic worship. But according to
Mhm.
one source, according to Nikki Sixx, he said that if there's a pentagram, if there's a werewolf and he sees that pentagram, he won't mess with you.
Go back to the '60s. I want to go to Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys album cover. Can we click that up here, please?
Well, there's nothing. I don't think there's any controversy over that.
Oh, look at that.
Just
Well, the not necessarily the cover, but the title, Pet Sounds. What the hell is that?
I'm not too sure. The only person to ask will probably be one of the members of the Beach Boys themselves. But we all know
Well,
that that
Mike
album.
Johnson on the call right now. Okay. Paul 3, you can get him in, please. Mike Johnson.
I
Paul
thought
3 is
that's.
a big. Listen, Paul 3 is a huge Beatles fan. Okay,
Hmm.
and or Beach Boys fan. He's seen him in concert,
Mhm.
and I've heard Paul 3 say he's not a big Mike Johnson fan though, because that's who really leads the Beach Boys right now, and it's not really. You know what I'm saying? Paul 3, is that true? Would you agree? Paul 3, you're gonna have to get your mouth closer to that earbud, brother.
Hmm.
Like love, bro.
It's hard to hear you, Paul. Hmm.
The leader of the Beach Boys is Mike Love.
Not Mike Johnson. I think it's Bruce Johnson you're referring to, YR.
Nah, the guy's name is Mike something.
Mike Love.
Yeah, Mike Love. He wears the hat.
Yes. And he wears the hat because he's balding
Paul
on
3
top.
did buy the Beach Boys dad hat at the concert. That is confirmed as well. Paul 3 did get the Beach Boys dad hat that Mike Johnson wears. Thank you.
Mike Johnson, Mike Love, dude. Oh, speaking of the Beach Boys and the Beatles, there was a little bit of controversy over Abbey Road because some say that the cover was kind of like added on to the Paul is dead rumor from 1969 because
Yeah,
the Beatles kind of like was like looked like they were dressed like they're going to a funeral.
yeah, and Paul had no shoes on, and he buried the dead without shoes, and he also had a cigarette, which is like his last cigarette.
Hmm. And the license plate saying FIF 28, meaning if Paul had still lived, he would have been 28 years old.
Yep, yep.
And also, let's not forget the hand above the hand up above Paul's head on the cover of
Hey,
Sergeant Pepper. Many people
Paul
saying that was
3,
representing death.
And
Paul
they
3,
also
what's
had the
your
guitar. They had the
like? What
guitar
is
on
your
Sgt. Pepper's made out of
Paul 3?
roses.
What is your style of like album covers you like for your band? Like pieces of fish or like
So
animals?
I like album covers that plainly state what the band is and what the album cover or what the album title is. I like covers like that that serve more as like a graphic and like almost like an
You like
advertisement.
covers of like the band members on the cover.
Yeah, I did that for a single, but I usually like artwork, something like that, but I don't like it to be too obscure, like where you have to think about it. I think that's pretty annoying. I like something that people can understand and digest.
Not just talk about.
I
Yeah.
like the shock. I mean, I feel like more the shock factor. You know, the shock. You gotta think the
Yes.
shock factor of the '80s was, dark devil stuff and
The
everything. You know,
Satanic
shocking
Panic.
people. '90s. I really couldn't. I don't really. Shock factor was kind of out of the window by then, but I feel like the 2000s brought in some shocking. I mean, what's the one with the jar of flies? Uh,
Jar of
Alice in
Flies.
Al-
Chains.
Alice in
Alice in
Chains.
Yeah, that one was pretty interesting.
Oh, Dirt.
Yeah.
How about the Pantera albums with
Far Beyond
the guy who
Driven. I
owns
know
the
what you're
band?
talking about. That
That's
featured,
sick. Yeah.
yes, the original cover for that album by art featured a big screw going up someone's ass. And the alternative cover, the mainstream cover, featured kind of like tainted, blue tainted screw going into someone's forehead.
One of the best album covers. If we could talk about some good ones.
Hmm.
Uh, the series that Yes put out with Roger Dean, the artwork from Roger Dean, are
Yeah.
some of the best albums ever.
Agreed. Agreed as
Close to
well.
the Edge,
Hypnosis.
yeah, Close to the Edge, Tales of Topographic Oceans,
Hmm.
all those albums, man, are so good. Fragile, those album covers are amazing.
What about the album covers by Hypnosis? They did album covers for Alan Parsons Project, Led Zeppelin, two for Black Sabbath, one for AC/DC.
Oh,
Uh,
I don't know, Paul. Real quick, Paul 3. I don't know if you mentioned, if you heard, but I do recommend, if you have time, blah blah blah. I do recommend seeing the Led Zeppelin movie. I did see it last week.
I
I
don't
do.
know, man. I'm just not interested in seeing it, to be honest. Like, I think the last type of movie I saw
Bro,
about
they talk about
music
all
was
the stuff
probably
you like. Bro, they talk
Edge.
about all the bands you like, though. Fucking uh, Vanilla Fudge and Cactus
Yeah,
and all
but
that
I
shit.
already know. I literally already know like that history. So it's like a lot of these new like documentaries and rockumentaries. They're for fans who don't fucking know anything or to get people introduced to the band. So like I already know most of that shit. I don't really like watching it all again.
Please, man. Brian, you think you're gonna go see it or no?
I would like to check it out mostly, though I like to also know the story behind the aftermath after they made it big. Hoping there'll be a part two to that.
And there's a lot of those already out, right?
Pretty much a whole documentary, but it has to be a part one and part two because the things that went on with Led Zeppelin are extremely long when you think about it there.
This dude was talking about like all the favorite bands of Paul 3, Cactus.
Hmm.
Like, come on, bro.
Which
I'm
also
not a big
featured Carmine Appice.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy is Carmine Appice took down my lead singer's phone number, and he told him he was trying to get Cactus put back together, and he wanted him to sing for it, but he
Oh,
never heard anything
nice.
back. He never heard
Nice.
anything back. Still
That's
pretty cool though.
nice. Interesting, dude.
A little bit of trivia.
All right,
Some
there.
memes.
I just put the original Far Beyond Driven album cover in the Skype chat there for you to check out, guys who haven't seen
Yeah,
it yet.
well, obviously I can't believe we didn't mention this one, but I mean, the most shocking of the '90s, and I've been listening to a little bit of their. I like to learn some guitar licks from
Hmm.
some of their songs, but obviously the one for was is it Nevermind, Nirvana?
Never
The one with
mind.
Oh
the
Yeah, because that featured a young infant baby swimming underwater in the buff.
I mean, that was. I mean, come on, guys. You know what I'm saying?
super creepy album cover. I think he sued him, or
He,
excuse me, the guy sued the band later on.
yeah, he
And but
tried to get
listening to
some money
Nirvana,
because he felt he
listening
was traumatized by the whole thing. It's like, how could you be traumatized for being photographed in the buff when you were a young kid?
listening to Nirvana, like it really, bro, it's like nothing. Like it really is pretty shitty music to listen to. Honestly, it's like nothing to it. You know what I'm saying? But I just can't believe that music changed the whole. fucking thing. Like people talk about it. It killed the whole '80s metal scene, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, or were they not metal scene? But they call it the hair
The
bands,
hair,
which
the
really
glam
saw
hair metal scene back then. It wasn't called the that back in the day there when that was going on.
like
But
when
that's
Nirvana hit, bro. Like that shitty ass music really. I guess that teenage generation just made it. You know, the '90s just made it. Because I mean, look, I got like it's. I don't want to call it shitty music, but like just simplistic and not really nothing there. But I mean, I've been watching like the Nirvana live stuff, like when they're doing SNLs and like other shit in Japan, and just seeing how the audience, you know, just seeing how there's that '90s aggression, there's that '90s teenage rebel, like just how it was then, and it's just a whole different time, guys. I mean, like those all those kids were boneheads. In my opinion. I was fucking the '90s, fucking all that. You know, Nirvana, like that's all bonehead, nothing there. Just the kids are probably doing acid and all that shit too, and you know what I'm saying, doing nothing with their life. But like that's just how it was in the '90s, bro. Like you step outside, like next Friday, the movies, and you
hmm
know, smoke a joint of marijuana in the '90s, and it's like. You know what I'm saying? You go inside your refrigerator and get some grape soda or get some Kool Aid, or it's just the simplicity,
hmm
the simple mindset of the '90s. And I'm weaving this all back like Trump does, but like Nirvana, the simplicity and just, it's like the wrestler in AEW, Orange Cassidy, where he's like, he's, he's not trying. Like Kurt Cobain's not trying to sing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
hmm
that's the popular. It's like they're not trying. Like, I can't imagine how easy those songs are to play because it really just sounds like a bunch of meshed up, just garage music, bro. Not, I mean, maybe some punk in there, garage punk. I mean, which is grunge, obviously. It's what it morphed into. But like that, looking back at it now compared to the '80s stuff, and like, Nirvana was like the weakest. Like song wise. I mean, I know the
hmm
popularity, blah blah blah, it's on the like, but just comparing it, like what other '90s bands were? I mean, like obviously alternative rock. Smashing Pumpkins, that's a whole nother sound, but it's still like that same guitar sound though, almost kind of like all that has that grungy sound with the guitar, and I don't know, man. I'm with Paul three. Like we were children in the '90s, and like wrestling in '64. You know what I'm saying? Lunchables, Dr. Brown, fruit
hmm
roll ups. What do you know about that? I
Well,
mean,
I
come on.
don't really. I never had a fruit roll ups or
Fruit by the foot.
no, I didn't do that.
Pop
I
Tart.
just had regular lunches. Yeah,
Pop
the
Tarts.
re
What about the
lined up for lunches at high school. That's how we had it. Check out what
yeah,
I
you ever
just
had
put
a
in the Skype chat. That album cover.
wrestling? Pro wrestling was on fire, and people like me and Paul three thought it was so real because we were like 7 years old. Wrestling was so real to us, bro, and like wrestling was my life.
It's
I
still
was
real
like,
to me. Ah.
but it's wait, bro. Back then, it was like the '90s were so great, man. I mean, they were
Dude,
so cheesy and simple, and
back in the day, people actually thought that Kane and the Undertaker were fucking brothers, and that the Undertaker
yeah,
burned Kane fire. Like people thought that.
hmm
but I already knew, like, I knew, and I have the autograph picture of the Undertaker, but I knew the Undertaker, like, one of the Undertaker's family members worked at a family members of mine work or whatever, right? So, like, it's like, I never met the Undertaker, but I knew one of the Undertaker's family, and like,
Nice.
that person went to the Undertaker's wedding, and so like I already asked when I was like 10, 9 and 10, like, is that what's up with that? The Undertaker's brother, and believe it or not, but that's true. I've seen. I think I've shown you all the autograph picture of the Undertaker I got, but
hmm
like I actually knew a family friend of the Undertaker, bro, when I was a child. Imagine that, right? I mean, I never got to. You know what I mean? Like famous people don't like give millions to all their family. Family can last forever. Like the amount of family members, so it doesn't work that way. But like You know what I'm saying? Like Brown, can you tell me honestly,
Hmm.
like to be that when you go look at your albums, man, and we're weaving this back.
Hmm.
But what other 90, I mean, even 2000s is a little shocking. I'm trying to think
Hmm.
of, I mean, even some Marilyn Manson album covers. Didn't he do one that, when he came out with that song, because it kind of like advertised him on wrestling on WWE a couple times here and there,
Hmm.
Marilyn Manson, I feel like.
Which one?
But
The
I think
smack.
they played, yeah, I think they played Beautiful People.
Yeah,
Mm,
And
that
like
was the
Beautiful,
theme.
I'm
Smack
not.
when
Too,
he
Mouth
came,
original.
I don't
yeah,
remember if they had one, but I remember that.
Yeah, Marilyn Manson like covered his body and like it was just like no penis, no vagina for his privates. Like I think
Oh,
that was
that's Mechanical Animals.
yeah, that was a weird. Like he was like a
An
body of a
Alien.
mannequin, like a man. Yeah, had like no penis, no vagina in the middle.
Yeah,
You know.
that was done with some. I guess some graphics they done when they were conjuring that album cover up. That's what they had at that time, and this was years before CGI and Photoshop would come into play. But some people were talking about that as well. It's like as well as the feet. If you look inside the CD booklet.
Bands like Disturbed, guys. People are trying to get me to go. I have no interest in Disturbed. Bands like Papa Roach. You know what I'm saying? Like I know, like even that cover with the roaches on it. I think their first album cover,
Mm,
actual like two cockroaches on it. It was like white.
mm,
Papa Roach, couple cockroaches on it. And that was shocking, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like,
hmm.
um, Paul three. What about the '60s, brother? Bring us back into the '60s. Some shocking shit. Didn't one of John Lennon's albums have them naked in a bed or something?
No,
Yeah,
that was two
weird.
versions. That was
Yeah, that
John
was
and Yoko. It was an album called Two Virgins. I'm
Yeah.
not too sure. That had to be sold in a brown paper bag because it featured Lennon and Ono in the buff, in the nude, front and back. In fact, that
And but
pissed,
and back
yes,
then they had full bush, really, so you really couldn't
yep,
see nothing. It was
exactly,
like a pubic bush.
exactly. It's did you see the album covers I posted in the Skype chat? Kind of funny to look at.
Didn't see it, man. Oh wow. Oh, the babies one. Yeah, you talked about before.
Hmm. Right there.
Dick Dick Black.
I saw that. It's like, geez, man. There's a Facebook page devoted to terrible album covers. I'll browse about that a couple times in the past. As they're fucking hilarious.
Paul, three, are you taking a shit or are you still working out there, brother?
stretching out, getting ready to leave. I gotta get off
Mm.
here.
You guys wearing yoga pants and stretching out.
Oh. Oh, DMX, the late rapper. Some people complained about the cover of his album, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, because it featured DMX in a pool of blood and him covered with blood just as well.
That was wild. I remember seeing that. That was wild.
I saw
I'll
that.
tell
It's
you,
like, are you kidding me, man?
tell you an album cover you guys probably never heard of, but it's by a folk band. It's called Leftover Crack, and the album cover is Fuck World Trade. And it
Speak
has
closer to the mic,
Yeah, I
asshole.
can't hear you.
there's a punk album by the band Leftover Crack. It's called Fuck World Trade, and it
Mm,
has George Bush and I think Dick Cheney or Tony Blair holding a gasoline pump, and the Twin Towers are in the background burning.
mm. Oh, speaking of the punk band, you ever heard the album Blood, Guts, and Pussy by the Dwarves?
What the hell are you talking about?
Look it up, Prince.
What the,
Dwarves, Blood, Guts, and Pussy album cover.
by who?
The Dwarves. That's the name of the band. They were on Sub Pop
Oh, I thought you said the
Records.
Doors. I thought you said the Doors. I'm like, since when
No,
did they have an album like that?
no. I'll find it for you and put it in the Skype chat. Okay, okay. Dwarves. Okay. Okay, let me find it. Okay.
Nowadays, you wouldn't dare make an album like that because you get canceled
Blood,
immediately.
Guts, and Pussy. There you go. Let's look for it here. Here it
You
is.
wouldn't be bold, no one would be bold enough to do that now, Earl. Because
Exact.
when you get canceled, they will. Oh my God, your head would be on a super platter if you did something like that today in
You know what?
today's generation.
Here's the album cover right here. For those who do not know, it featured two naked women and a naked dwarf on the cover, drenched in splattered with blood. Many record stores refused to stock it. The band decided not to change it at their request. They told Sub Pop, release it as it is. Who cares that they don't sell it that? Blah blah blah. Check it out, Prince. See what you think of that.
I will. I will.
Okay, there.
God.
When
No.
you see that, you're gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
Oh, that's not so bad. It's not a bad cover. That's
Mm,
not so bad. It's more of an artsy. I would say that's more of an artistic type of cover. That's what
mm.
they'll say today, but maybe back in the day they're like, you can't do that. But today they'll probably, see it as an art type of thing.
Who knows? I do know that a couple of members of an all-female punk band that I remember seeing a few times back in Detroit. They were upset. They saw that album cover. They were immediately disgusted by it. In fact, dwarves that got themselves canceled by conjuring up a fake story about their guitar player being dead when he actually wasn't.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the guitar who goes by the name of He Who Cannot Be Named. They did this fake report saying that he was murdered by a robbery when actually he wasn't. That was done to get publicity for the group. Bad move because they got canceled by their record label. Sub Pop dropped them within a heartbeat. All right.
That's insane.
I know, yeah. Well, of course, album covers being controversial is part of the way to get the album sold. I guess the concept is if the album cover is interesting, so will the music inside.
One of the most weird album covers,
Hmm.
and it's an example of not female nudity,
Hmm.
but male nudity, and that was Yes's album. Not going for the one. Was it going for the one
I have that.
with the
I
guy
have
with
that
the
downloaded
naked ass
actually on my
in the back?
MP3. It's a
Throw it on
good
my phone.
album. I know, yes. Now the
Is
only
is
thing
that
different
going for
than
the one?
that. What's up?
Is that going for the one? Is that the album?
Yep, that's the one. Came out in
Okay,
'77.
yeah, I thought so. Yeah, it
And
has a naked
Also,
guy's
the
ass
uh,
on the
the
front
great
cover.
Prince had a controversy with some of his albums, with one called "Love Sexy" and the other
yes,
one called "Sign of the
yeah, a
Times."
lot of people were talking about that album cover as well. They were talking about the cover in more, they were talking about the music. Many people complained that the music on that was not up to par. But like
In "Love Sexy," he appeared fully, well, not fully, but kind of like
in the buff,
naked.
naked, yes, but he
Yeah,
was covering himself.
laying on a flower. He was laying on a flower naked.
Hmm.
And then on "Sign of the Times," it wasn't even him; it was a woman who they thought was Prince.
Interesting. Now that's
Her
interesting
name
to
was
know.
she was a dancer, and in
Cat
the "Sign of the
Glover,
Times."
who passed
Yeah,
away.
Cat Glover. Yeah, she did. She did pass away.
Yeah.
Really sad.
Now
They
let's
had some
also
weird
go ahead there.
albums back today, man.
Yeah, right there. You know what? Arknoy would be if he was on the call right now. He'll mention the "Who Are You" from 1978, and we know the title cut would later become one of the CSI theme songs. No doubt about that. Had Keith
I have
Moon.
a perfect. Well, Paul Three wasn't here for this, but I have a perfect album cover for my band. I'm gonna have Paul Three, Moon, SE Steve on the album cover. Is gonna say "Fuck you, SE Steve."
There you go.
I like it. Steve.
Yep.
All right.
I mean, all three showing his ass.
Paul three? What about the band Kiss? Anything shocking from Kiss that?
Not that we
It's only
know of,
shocking
really.
that was music
What
for
about
the
the
elder.
original
That
Love
album
Gun?
cover is
The Love
cringe, and
Gun
so is the
album.
music on it.
Uh,
The Love Gun one with the women like on the ground and there's remember that, guys?
yes, I remember that album cover pretty much. I think it was a painting. I'm not too sure who did it,
Yeah.
but there was nothing that really that wasn't really graphic about that. It was just like a bunch of women idolizing Kiss as gods, as their men at that time, which Kiss
Ah,
was trying to present themselves as. Remember? And by the way, the title cut from that album is about Paul Stanley singing about his pecker.
Earl, I was thinking all three of us should moon and send it as a postcard to SE Steve.
Oh gosh. But then again, knowing ST will probably download that photo and jack off to it.
All right. What about the 2000s?
Couldn't
What about the
resist, man.
year 2000s album covers, guys? Dr. Brown? Any ones that
Well,
were like really pissed you off and were like stupid and shocking, just
some of the 2000s album cover was kind of like so and so to me, but except Marilyn Manson's Holy Wood. I was kind of disturbed by the cover of that one because it featured Manson. It's a painting of him hanging on a cross with his bottom jaw removed. I saw that. It's like, holy cow, dude, what the hell happened here? I don't understand the concept of that. I guess it was intended to shock some people, but then again, shocking album covers generate album sales.
ready for that, Prince? Eyes without a face.
Hmm.
Prince, you ready?
Yeah,
Eyes
I was
without a
serious, bro. I
face.
was serious. We need to just moon ourselves and put it all together, make it look nice, and put it as a Christmas card as to Essie. I think it'll be great. I love it.
Eyes without a face. Prince, we got a new rule: no more mentioning community names on shows.
All right, all
Brian,
right.
tell
Fine. We'll say who shall
since
not be
it's
named.
not a drama show. Not a drama show. You guys left and never be on shows again. That's what everyone wants. So why talk about them if they're never going to be on shows again and never being here again? So
Because there's no such thing as the high up, so therefore we can
they're
say
dead.
whatever,
They're
right?
gone.
There's no such thing as the high ups. There's no such thing.
You know, that'd be a
Brown,
good name for a band.
Brown, can we look up some year 2000s bands and maybe some like Sugar
Okay.
What
Ray?
a good name for a band would be called the high ups. Earl, you said
No, I'm talking about we should probably call it ourselves the high ups if we ever put together a group.
that would be a good name. That is a good name. That's a
All right there.
killer good name.
Well, I'm looking at
I
some of
like
the 2000s album covers right now, and there's not much that's talk about controversy or anything like that so far. Everything in the album cover range around that time was basically safe, no problems, no issues. I'm looking at them
okay,
right now,
Earl.
and there's nothing really that much to talk
Hold on.
about.
They left. You
What,
didn't
what,
even end
what?
the show.
All
They
right there.
left.
I saw, yes. What the fuck?
Um, what would be the song track? What would be the number one hit? If we had a band called the High Ups, what would be the number one hit song off that album?
I have no clue. I'm thinking maybe it'd be something like hmm. I was going to say what it's in it to win it, but that belongs to Kenny Chris, Ken's cousin. So probably have to come up with something that's often used in this community, like a catchphrase as such, or something like
One song probably called Earl's Medicine.
or better yet, how about this? Dow hairs, 150 Dow hairs. That was a big thing back then. A couple years
Yeah,
back with regarding Tommy and C 2010.
right.
Who, by the way, I want to get a hold of sometime to do a show with one-on-one sometime soon, maybe.
Right.
All right, dear. All right, so I guess this concludes our special edition of Music Maniacs, spotlighting album covers, the controversial of them. And that concludes our episode for tonight, this evening. On behalf of Prince, Paul 3, and YR, and myself, everybody enjoy yourselves and have a good old time. Enjoy your weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye bye. See you later, guys.